All right, good evening, everyone. We are going to get started. We'll give it about 30 seconds. We ask that you please take your seats. If you are speaking this evening or testifying, we ask that you please sit in the middle section. We will be running the mic up the middle row. So if you are here to testify this, if you are here to testify this evening, we will fix it. It's okay. Let me come fix it really quick. All right, we are ready. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mandy Remmel, Director and District 1 Coordinator for Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski's Office of Community Engagement. It is a pleasure to be with you tonight as we begin our budget discussions here in District 1. Our commitment to accessible and responsible government, our residents drive our commitment to accessible and responsible government. We strive to build a better Baltimore County together by focusing on sustainable and equitable opportunities for all. Our budget determines our priorities and aspirations for the upcoming year, and we are proud to continue holding these conversations with our residents so we can remain an essential part of the process. Before we begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge CCBC Catonsville Campus Director, Campus President, Dr. Sandra Curtinitis, and Campus Director Jahari Barnes for their hospitality for hosting tonight's town hall. Dr. Curtinitis, can you please come up here?
I can see our county executive is very tall. He needs a very high lectern. For little people like me, it's a stretch. But anyway, I am Sandra Curtinitis, and I truly am the proud president of the Community College of Baltimore County, and it is always fun. They invite me to come and welcome you to this evening. Now, I'm sure the evening is going to, or has the potential to grow rancorous and difficult before the night is over. So I get to say some happy things to you to welcome you and leave the county executive to sort out all the tough things. But let me just tell you the other part of this. We're the Community College of Baltimore County. Community is our first name, which is why we really love to host events like this. This is a meaningful part of governance, and it is very special to us that you come here and you engage the way you do, in this instance with finance, in this instance with budget. And I loved seeing the little ones out there holding up their signs with their great big smiles and their missing teeth and just happy as anything. There they are. There they are. But how many of you are CCBCers? How many CCBC students? Raise your hand if you are. Or alums. Oh, come on, some of you are. Don't be embarrassed. A mom, a dad, a brother, a sister of a CCBC-er. Oh, well, some of you are. Sometimes the room is half full. Not so tonight. But let me just tell you, because we are very proud to be a strong partner with our county executive and county council as the county now moves forward on so many things, especially right now with the difficulties with the Key Bridge and all that's going to have to come out of that. But let me just tell you a few good things about your community college. We are, in fact, the largest provider of workplace education and training in the whole darn state. Wait a minute, what did he say to me? We have a ghost on the Catonsville campus. I don't know if that was he. But anyway, we are also ranked 100 within the top 150 community colleges in the whole darn country. We are the only community, yep, that's great. This is your community college. We're the only community college, we're the only 2- or 4-year college that remained fully open during the pandemic when 10,000 students would have had to drop out if we did not. And on top of that, right now, sitting in our classrooms, we have 50,000 students. And when they leave us, as many of you know, they go onto a 4-year institution, yes, or they go into our hospitals, they go into our cyber labs, they go into our manufacturing plants. They become actually the workforce of Baltimore County, and we're very proud of that. And so let me just segue. Councilman Young will be introducing the county executive, but I can't resist making a few comments about the powerful partnership that he and the council actually have allowed us to engage. Our county executive was once a teacher, and maybe this is how we and the schools actually hold such a dominant place in his agenda. But you all know that education is the great leveler and the great lifter, and we're so thrilled to be able to play that role in Baltimore County. But what's really special is that we have been able, with the support of the county executive and the county council, we have been able to make sure that every student who cannot deal with the cost of college on his or her own can come to CCBC tuition free. This is something you should applaud, because this was hard to do, and it has happened. It has happened. And again, I say to you, your community colleges is the only one in the state, and probably out of all the 1,000 of us, maybe there are only 200 of us who have been able to do this, to enable 85% of all of our 50,000 students to attend tuition free. And this is not a gift, it's not charity, it's an investment. So we're glad to work with the county, we're glad to work with all of you to make sure that your community college stands tall and does what needs to be done when we're down for the count. So with that, I'm actually going to just quietly slip away. I will not stay around for the fireworks, and I will leave that to all of you to manage civilly and happily and engage in a community discussion that really is a hallmark of what democracy is. Thank you.
Yep, this one's yours. Wonderful. Tonight, we will continue our fiscal year 2025 budget discussions here in District 1, my hometown, hosted by your County Executive, Johnny Olszewski, and your County Councilman, Pat Young. After the County Executive's budget presentation, our residents will have an opportunity to share their budget-related priorities within the allotted time of 90 seconds. We will pass the microphone here, as we are not allowed to line up on the stairs, so we will be passing the microphone row to row. So again, if you are here to testify this evening, we ask that you please sit in the middle sections. The county executive, department heads, and Councilman Young will listen to your inquiries, concerns, and ideas. If we cannot answer a question this evening, we will have a coordinator from the Office of Community Engagement or designated department representative follow up with you. Tonight's town hall will conclude by 8:30 p.m., and those who are unable to testify in person by 8:30 may still submit their requests for consideration by emailing townhall@baltimorecountymd.gov. If you have come with a group, we ask that you please designate one spokesperson to share your group's budget priority. Group members may stand in support when your priority is being shared. If you have already heard the same budget priority shared tonight, we ask that you defer your time so that we can hear as many priorities as possible. And now it is my honor to welcome your councilman, Mr. Pat Young.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilman Pat Young, representing District 1, Baltimore County, and I want to, before I start, just thank Mandy and her team and not to speak before the county executive, to thank his staff for one, including our office, in making this happen, and thank him for his partnership. This doesn't happen by accident. This has been ongoing since before I came here because of a commitment to transparency and providing an opportunity for a role in this process. I'd like to thank everyone that's met with me over the last, over the last 15 months, and since the last time we were here. We have a larger crowd this time, which is amazing. I think we had the largest crowd that we had seen at a town hall prior to that last year, and I'd like and love to see those numbers continue to increase, because that means that you're engaged. That means that you know what's going on in your district, and you want your voice to be heard by myself, by the county executive, and by his staff. Now, in the last couple weeks, I want to make sure that folks are aware, too, that people have contacted my office. We've made sure to ensure that we wanted to let them know that this town hall was happening tonight, so that while they're voicing their concerns to me, that they know that there's another avenue to make sure that more folks from the county that have roles in decision-making hear from you, hear your concerns, from you, your families, your experience, from folks that live here. I know that we've implemented in my office hours for folks that are dedicated specifically on Thursdays to just constituent issues. Now, we'll meet with you whenever, but I'm just saying on Thursdays it's specifically for constituent issues. And folks who have taken advantage of that have consistently said, like, I wanted to bring this to your attention, but I don't know what you can do, I don't know what I can do. And I've consistently said to reach out to as many folks as you can within your network, within the county's network, and continue to engage our office, to work with the department, to work with departments within county government to get your issue solved. Since starting 15 months ago, we've had the opportunity to engage with all the schools around the district. We started meeting with all the principals to the point where they didn't know why I was trying to reach out to them as much. We had to have VCPS give a third-party validation saying he just wanted to connect so we could engage with students. We started doing Ask Your Councilman Anything. I've been starting to sit in cafeterias with a sign that says Ask Me Anything at some of the schools. We're trying to expand that across the entire district. We've engaged with at this point, five different Boy Scout troops to meet their recommendation or meet their requirements for citizenship in the community. And we've engaged with folks from our rec councils in District 1, as well as our nature councils across the entire district. One, because it's important to hear from you about what you're providing for our kids, and it's important to make sure that we continue to provide programming for everybody. I thank you all for being here, and that while it was mentioned before that some folks may not be able to speak tonight, the conversation doesn't end just from presenting in front of us and in front of the directors. The conversation continues and starts here, but it doesn't end here. So please continue to reach out to our office. Let your voice be heard to us, and let's make sure that Baltimore County's government, as it continues to do, works for all of us and not just for some of us. So with that, I would like to just welcome a huge partner in the work that we do. I was going to say mentor and friend, but really it is. You've been a huge friend through this entire process, one through being here, showing me how we can be effective as a council office, and by working with your office to make sure that we can implement programs and work with you to represent all citizens in District 1. So with that, I'm honored to introduce County Executive Johnny Olszewski.
Thank you, Pat. I'm going to have kind words to say about Councilman Young in just a moment, but before I do, I think it would be impossible to start tonight's conversation without having some acknowledgement of the events of the past 2 days here in the Baltimore region with the collapse of the Key Bridge. I know many of us have been tracking and tracing it, so if any of this is redundant, I certainly apologize, but just to sort of give a state of play in terms of what we have learned to date, early yesterday, I received a call from my fire chief, Joanne Rund, that the Chesapeake Bay Bridge had been struck and collapsed by a cargo ship. We have since learned through that time that through the heroic actions of Maryland Transportation Authority Police in the span of less than 2 minutes, after a Mayday call came in from the ship, that the heroic action of those officers saved untold numbers of lives who might have traversed the Key Bridge, and that unfortunately that window did not allow the opportunity to give notice to the 8 workers who were on the Bay Bridge that evening. And we just got word recently, prior to coming on, unfortunately, that 2 bodies had been recovered of the 6 remaining. I want to just acknowledge their memory. Their names are Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes of Baltimore and Dorlinian Roniel Castillo Cabrera of Dundalk. We continue to pray for them and their families, as well as the other 4, as work continues at the Key Bridge. I had the opportunity to meet with the affected families of those workers earlier today, and just shared the love and the prayers and the well wishes of, I know, a community that is hurting and mourning and still in shock in many ways. I just want to assure everyone here, I know this is the other side of the bridge. I grew up the Dundalk kid side of the bridge. And as we sort of think about the future, not only do we want to be sure to continue to support the families who have been impacted directly by this tragedy, but we know that countless individuals rely on the port and the affiliated businesses with it. And we are fully committed to working with our federal, state, and other local partners to not only reopen business in the shipping channels as quickly and safely as possible, but to also rebuild the bridge. And I want to thank Governor Moore and President Biden, both of whom I've had the opportunity to speak with subsequent to this tragedy, and I appreciate their and others' commitments to restoring and rebuilding in the days ahead. Lastly, I want to just give a special shout out to the first responders. I think it was very early in the morning yesterday when I had the chance to see not just our career and volunteer firefighters doing incredible work, but alongside first responders from Baltimore City, Prince George's County, Maryland State Police, the Coast Guard, people who would have, if conditions allowed, would have jumped in that water at 3 o'clock in the morning or 1:30 in the morning, or as soon as they were able to be on scene. So we're blessed by first responders who across the board are doing incredible work, will continue to do incredible work. And so first, I want to say thank you. And before we start the town hall, I just ask, whatever your tradition is, if you could just join me in a moment of reflection, of silence, or a prayer as appropriate to you. Thank you very much. So in the midst of all of what's going on around us, we don't lose sight that we need to continue to come together. And just as we're coming together in the wake of great tragedy there, we continue to rally around our individual communities and our county. And it is my honor to be here alongside such a great friend and partner in Councilman Young. I will tell you that District 1 could not ask for a more fearless and forceful advocate for his constituents. Every day, Pat comes to work thinking about what he can do to better serve Southwest Baltimore County. So Pat, thank you for the privilege and honor of working alongside you. Dr. Curtinitis and CCBC, thank you for hosting us. I do love seeing a full auditorium. There are more seats if folks who are against the wall would prefer to sit, so don't feel obligated if you'd prefer a seat. But this is what connected government is all about. It's about having those conversations so that we can understand what's happening across our communities to make better decisions. And so I thank you all for being here tonight, just as I thank our departments and agencies for their presence. I hope that many of you had a chance to connect with them in the town hall or the open house before, and if there are opportunities to connect afterwards, we welcome that too. We've done a lot through our partnership with you, and that's what these town halls have been about. It's about accomplishments. It's about, there we go. It's about moving forward together, and I hope that this is the last of this year's town hall series, that you feel that continues to be the case moving forward. But over the past many years, we've overcome an inherited structural deficit. We've brought thousands of residents to venues just like this, and we have invested historic dollars in everything from open space to agriculture to sustainability. Just to talk a little bit about sort of the budgeting process, Budget Bootcamp 101, we have two major budgets that we pass every year. One is the operating budget. That's the budget that funds our day-to-day priorities, that funds those, the salaries of those first responders and other county employees, that pays for things like county employee pensions and health care. It pays our contractors who support us in the work that we do, and basically is the engine that makes it go. That is funded primarily through both property and income taxes. It is currently in this fiscal year, which ends June 30th, it is a $4.4 billion operating budget. In addition to the operating budget, we also pass a capital budget. That is all of the brick and mortars. That comes primarily through bonds with an additional infusion of cash sometimes when we have a surplus. And that money goes towards things you would expect: schools, rec centers, police stations, firehouses, our water and sewer systems. That is a $3.2 billion multi-year plan for capital spending. And then one other note on the capital budget is that those bonds are authorized by residents. So when you go to the ballot in the November general election, you all will be voting to fund and approve borrowing to fund those capital projects. We are also spending down the $160 million that was granted to Baltimore County as part of the American Recovery Package. We are seeing this started in terms of investing in things like rapid tests and additional PPE as the pandemic was still raging. We then turned that money towards recovery and are spending it all over Baltimore County to invest in places that need support and recovery. Proud to report that we are largely spent down, but you can track on our dashboard where that money is going. Current fiscal year budget, fiscal year 24, again, record historic funding for our schools. This year is the single largest increase in both dollars and percent of what's called the maintenance of effort. It's the state mandated requirement on spending. I want to thank Councilman Young and his colleagues for supporting budgets that prioritize these spendings, but this is the single largest increase in the county's history, and it is really helping us take a more comprehensive approach to education. It has helped move our educators, for example, to being middle of the pack, to now among the best paid teachers in the state. We have, I believe, the second highest starting salary among all teachers in the state of Maryland now in Baltimore County. This year's budget hired more pre-K educators, more English as second language teachers, additional athletic trainers. So as we are implementing the requirements of the Maryland Blueprint, we are hiring those pre-K educators, but also hiring additional staff to support our diverse communities in our school. We're not losing sight of school construction. We know the buildings matter too. We have committed over $200 million just in this fiscal year alone towards capital construction as part of our $3+ billion plan for school construction all over Baltimore County. What that means locally is a transformation of the local landscape. Probably most important is the over $200 million now being put towards building a brand new Lansdowne High School. In addition to tens of millions of dollars for improvements at other sites throughout the county, we want to make sure that we are maintaining the rest of our facilities, even as we follow through on promises that we made about replacing some of our more aged high schools. As Dr. Kurtenitis said, she probably said it better than anybody else could. Our community colleges are an incredible asset. They're a gem. They're an investment worth making. We're very proud to have frozen in-county tuition for every year we've been in office. We're very proud last year to have announced the Near Universal College Promise Program so that almost anyone who needs help can afford coming to CCBC. We are a little concerned about some proposed legislation in the state that would have reduced significantly the CADE funding. CCBC was facing nearly a $5 million cut early in the legislative session. Fortunately, we've worked with legislative leaders to reduce that significantly, and we're hopeful that we can keep the state funding in place so that we can also keep our promise here. We work closely with our library partners, investing not only in the renovations of the capital spaces at places like Woodlawn and Catonsville. There's $12 million for improvements at Lansdowne that are yet to come. But we also are supporting the operating budget that have done things like made our libraries fine-free. So if you have a book that's late, totally safe to take it. Don't worry. Go check out your local library system. I mentioned our first responders at the top of the evening, and not only are they doing incredible work in the response to the Key Bridge tragedy, but they have been doing great work in our communities. And we believe in investing not just in our first responders and in public safety, but also in those upstream investments. So we are making investments in both our people and public safety, the equipment, the buildings, but we're also investing in those upstream supports, domestic violence prevention, youth supports, and things like ROCA, and we're seeing the results. Just last year, we saw a 15% year-over-year decrease in homicides. If you compare it to 2 years prior, it was nearly a 50% decrease. So Chief McCullough, Chief Rund, Chief Price, thank you all, Director Pesterfield, for the great work that everyone in the public safety ecosystem does, and to your teams. In addition, we are investing in the infrastructure for our fire services as well. In addition to bumping up pay for both police and fire significantly, we are putting money in towards our stations. We are putting money towards our volunteers, who are equally as important in our ecosystem. This year we funded a second set of turnout gears for high response volunteers, in the same way that we provide a second set for our career firefighters. We increased, I believe 2 years ago, the attended pay for medics. We increased the revolving loan fund for equipment significantly, up to $1.75 million, and we look forward to continuing our support of our career and volunteer firefighters alike. We're investing in sustainability across Baltimore County and here in District 1 with shoreline stabilization, with green infrastructure program, and with other waterway improvement projects across the district. If you are a county resident, you can now do textile and electronic recycling programs. That's new. We are planting trees all over the district, and we're also investing in critical water infrastructure at places like Tennessee Avenue and Lexington Road, as well as storm drain improvements at locations throughout District 1. Parks, our recreation system, we are proud that we have put historic funding towards our parks and our open space, more than $60 million across the county, some significant dollars that are being put to work immediately this year, on top of prior investments, and just very excited about what we're doing there. We also are talking about $1.3 million for a new destination playground at Banneker, new field lighting and gym renovations at Banneker also, and then renovations for playgrounds, and then field construction, athletic fields, and of course the beloved pickleball courts that everyone has picked up. I know that many of you have come to talk about recreation and parks specifically, so I do want to talk a little bit about the modernization platform and work that Director Smith and Recreation and Parks are embarking upon. I will just say that as this work is happening, I come at it not just as a county executive, but also as someone who has a rec child myself. My daughter is involved in our local rec council. This past season, I was an assistant coach for our soccer team, so I understand in some personal ways just how important our rec councils are and our volunteers are as well. I want to just provide some context that part of the changes that we're providing or that are being presented are actually making sure that the Baltimore County is consistent with our county code, and that we're also just making other changes to make sure that we are effectively utilizing field space, and that we are ensuring that as many people as possible can enjoy the incredible offerings that our rec councils have, and that frankly we better use spaces that just aren't being used, and that we're providing supports on top of and as an enhancement to what many of our rec councils are doing. So what does that look like in practice? In practice, that means things like ending what we call blanket permits, that in some cases we have seen makes field spaces and buildings go unused for rec councils, go unused for club or travel, and yes, go unused for the public at large. The other part of the conversation is ensuring that we prioritize rec and in-house program access. That does not mean that there won't be field access for any other program, including adult, including private use, but it just makes sure that those rec programs, where it's open to all children have an opportunity, that will be the first priority for finding field space, but everyone will still have field opportunities. We also are talking about moving forward with liability protections for volunteers and ensuring that staff employed by Rec and Parks actually are working for Rec and Parks. This is both a legal compliance and best practice situation as well. Let's talk about what is not happening. Baltimore County does not intend to or have any intention of collecting any fees from rec councils or in-house programs. Again, these are programs that are open to all participants. We are looking at, as almost every other jurisdiction, not just in Maryland, but across the country does, updating a fee structure for first private for-profit organizations and outside groups that utilize public facilities. That will take effect on July 1st. And in partnership and in consultation with affected rec programs, we are also looking at a very modest phase-in for club, travel, and adult programs starting in January of 2025. If there are questions about that, Director Smith will also be here to talk about that a bit more. Talking about transportation, we are also continuing to make investments in the roads and sidewalks and bridges that we all rely on to get around. Again, I think very timely considering what has just recently happened. This year's budget includes $40 million for road resurfacing and sidewalk improvements, $3.5 million for roadway safety audits. We're improving traffic safety throughout D1 with $150,000 for raised sidewalks at locations throughout the district, and nearly $10 million to replace bridges at Dogwood Road, North Forest Park Avenue, Hammonds Ferry Road, and the number 9 trolley trail. We also recently unveiled the county's first ever countywide comprehensive bike and pedestrian plan. It's the first in our county's history, about 256 miles of bikeways and plans, and we have hundreds of thousands of dollars for bike lanes improvements, including $26,000 already being deployed for the Bloomsbury Crossing and the Patapsco Regional Gateway. We're proud in partnership with our council to have launched the first ever free fixed route transit service in the Loop. We think that provides a blueprint for more transit across Baltimore County, and so we hope to have the opportunity to do that. We've also permanently eliminated fees for our county ride program, which many of our seniors in particular use for trips. That's also now available on Saturdays. We've also deployed a new paver system, which is actually a really fascinating way where we've gone through and tracked our thousands of miles of road across Baltimore County to determine which areas actually need to be repaved and how to prioritize that paving to be most efficient in our work. We also have talked about, I think the next slide is fine, but as we're doing that work, we talked about cuts to CCBC. The other place where we are truly concerned, and again, very timely considering the events, is transportation funding has been significantly missing in Baltimore County for several years. The local operated transit funding, which supports things like the Loop and would support expansion, you can see compared to our peers, Baltimore County gets about 40 times less than Montgomery County, which is only slightly larger in terms of population. When it comes to highway user revenues, this is the main fund that counties use to do road resurfacing, to fund sidewalks. We have seen a significant cut since 2009 in the Great Recession. We've lost about $450 million cumulatively when we dropped from $45 million to just under $14 million a year. To put that amount in perspective, the $450 million is what it would cost using that new paver system to make every road in Baltimore County effectively fair condition. But we also heard you in the last year's town hall, so we're investing in those vibrant community needs. When you come to advocate, we do listen and we work with you. We are building on diversity, equity, inclusion in our Immigrant Affairs Office with the formation of a New Americans Task Force, supporting issues like the Time to Care Act, where we allow all Maryland residents, or all of our residents to purchase into the healthcare exchange, regardless of their immigration status. We heard you on GBMC slides, and we have expedited that and worked with incredible partners in the state legislature, the philanthropic communities, and we are moving forward to have all of those slides tested by 2004, the end of this year. And we also formed a working group to support the victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. We also continue to invest in our seniors, who are about a fourth of our population, continuing with great programs like No Senior Eats Alone, our Because program, which helps seniors age in place, and of course, significant investments in those capital infrastructure needs. I'll just close by saying we also, in addition to district-specific things, we're very proud to have put investments in our cultural institutions across the county. We know that these are institutions that play an important role in the lives of our residents. Our people work there, live there, attend events at many of these institutions. And one in particular I'd call out is the Shock Trauma Center that not only actually helped treat one of the two initial victims that actually were found and identified alive, thank God, early in the crisis with the bridge, but they also were absolute heroes with the situation we had earlier this year with a police-involved shooting that where two of our officers were struck by an assault rifle. But thanks to the actions of Shock Trauma, the officers and their colleagues, their lives were spared, and I just can't say enough about Shock Trauma. As we sort of think about where to spend our dollars, we are guided by what's called the Spending Affordability Committee. I think Councilman Young is the chair of it, chairman of the Spending Affordability Committee. So what Pat and his colleagues on the Spending Affordability Committee does is they basically say this is the rate at which we think our economy is going to grow in the year ahead, and then they tie an associated percentage of budget growth to that prediction and projection. And I have to say, for a long time, this has been a very strong guide. The numbers tend to be pretty accurate, and so we've used them to help determine what figures we give to our departments in terms of moving forward. For context, this year's budget, the one we're currently in, had a 4.79% growth. The next year's budget, we are expecting slower growth, so it will be a smaller percentage increase. This year's percentage led to about $114 million of new spending. But just to give you a sense of how we spent the money in that operating budget, this is sort of where it went. So of that $114 million, 42% went directly into salaries of Baltimore County employees, paying our most important resource, investing in our most important resource. 31% of that increase went to Baltimore County Public Schools, which includes additional salary enhancements for our teachers, our support staff, our principals, and administration. 5% went to CCBC for things like supporting the Promise program, and of course, more staff. 18% went to active and retiree healthcare and benefits, the increases associated with healthcare and those costs. And so really, in a respect, only 4% truly went to new programs that are sort of outside of existing people and needs. And that did things like create a medical duty officer program at our hospital so that we can lower ED wait times. We are doing, I think, a first in the country approach to providing loan debt relief for Baltimore County employees, and we increased the hourly rate for our school crossing guards because we really needed to have those posts filled to keep our children safe, but also to have our officers not be pulled from their post. You know, ever since we started these town halls, we've always been very honest and open about where we've been and where we're going. I want to be clear that you know, we're facing some financial headwinds. We're in some uncertain times in terms of where we are going. As the state legislature wraps their session, there's still a lot of questions about what that fiscal picture is going to look like. We also know that we're ending the use of those federal recovery dollars this year, and we see again, as we did this year, we're expecting increases to things like healthcare to outpace that growth significantly. So more than the 4% will go towards increases to paying for taking care of our employees. That's on the operating side. On the capital side, inflation has already driven up project costs significantly, and so our focus has really been on keeping our capital projects that are already in the pipeline moving along and on time as best we can. We have capital needs just from the Baltimore County perspective exceeding $300 million. We also have that $3 billion school construction plan, and so finding the resources to continue what's already there, also to try to tackle new challenges will be an imperative. But I have to say, I have a great partner in Councilman Young. I have great partners on the council, and we have the most important resource in the room, all of you. So with that, the timeline for presentation is I will be giving the budget submission on April 11th. So this truly is the wrap-up of town halls. We'll make final budget decisions after listening to you, and then the council will review in April and May, and they have to approve sometime before May 31st. So most important part of the town hall, turn things over to all of you. I'm going to invite Mandy to come back up. I'm going to invite Councilman Young to join us on stage. And again, thank you for your presence. We look forward to hearing your feedback tonight. Thanks.
All right, everyone, we are going to start the testimony portion of the evening. Again, if you are testifying tonight, we ask that you please sit in this middle section. We are going, since for fire reasons, we cannot have everybody line up on the stairs, so we are going to pass the mic down one way, and then it's going to come to the other. If you are sitting here and you're not planning to testify, or you're sitting next to a friend, you can just pass the mic to the next person who is. There is a timer here in the front of the room. It has 1 minute and 30 seconds on it. We ask that you please stay to that timer. So your budget testimony should be 90 seconds. The timer will buzz. We'll ask, if you have not wrapped by the timer, we will kindly ask you to please wrap your comments, and then we'll move to the next person. We've got a lot of folks here this evening, which is really exciting, but we do want to hear as many priorities as possible. So again, if you have come with a group, we ask that you have one person or spokesperson share your testimony, and then if you have already heard that budget priority or that testimony shared this evening, we ask that you please defer your time and let the next person speak. So we will get started. We'll start on this end, and then we'll go down. Perfect. There you go.
Thank you. Good evening, Executive Olszewski, Councilmember Young. Thank you for your time. I'm Lloyd Allen, special educator in mathematics, speaking as an individual. Plan the work, then work the plan. Every year you use input from stakeholders to plan the county's work in the form of the budget. As a public employee, I look forward to my part in helping to work the plan. Public schools provide an important service in preparing our students to be able to participate in society. Maryland is a work-first state, and a high school diploma or equivalent is required for virtually every county and state job. It's also required for the post-secondary education like CCBC that's required for specific careers. In preparing students for society, we teach them how to create and execute plans. We also help them to create and appreciate literary, visual, and performing arts, how to live a healthy lifestyle, how to create and follow a personal budget, how to participate in government, how to design, how to build from a design, how to craft an argument, how to identify the flaws in reasoning and the arguments of others. Besides education, schools endeavor to provide a safe place for children to receive other support that they may need now, no matter what life is throwing at them outside of school, in order to become tomorrow's thriving adults. May we be the county that out-educates our neighbors so that we may out-compete them tomorrow, and may our schools continue to contribute to a self-sustaining Baltimore County. Thank you, and good luck in your next steps.
While I am a lifelong Democrat and a firm believer in DEI, the reimagined recreation and parks permitting policy is inconsistent and inequitable. The county defines recreation programs as solely defined by age, not ability. The adult league that I play in is solely defined by age and not ability. I promise you, I am not a great soccer player. We have a very diverse crew. The second point that I'd like to make is that I believe that it confuses equality with equity per this old image that a lot of people are probably familiar with. So, for example, I understand that some areas of the county have inadequate facilities or weak rec councils, and I agree that the county ought to rectify those inequalities. However, lumping underserved areas into one bucket with all other council recreation in-house programs is inequitable both to underserved areas and local teams. So I propose a modified order. If what we're really looking for is access, then we should put local in-house programs first and then highlight underserved rec programs second. So that's not all of them. That's the ones that actually need greater access. And this is fairer both to the people who are underserved and also the travel programs whose parents and players put in a lot of time and effort to getting their kids to those games.
Now, and I just want to say, I mean, both specifically to this comment, but generally, I mean, that's why we have the conversation. So, I mean, I think that part of all of this is doing this right, and so, you know, we do welcome the conversation, and, you know, we're happy to sort of continue, not just here, but beyond, so thank you.
Good evening. My name is Allie Andrzejewski Mitchell, and tonight I want to talk about the dangers of not considering negative outcomes of introducing new policies, since I recently had a terrible experience firsthand. When my team of 14-year-old girls arrived to practice, there were over 200 people on the field due to the new unlocked gates open to the public rule, and several refused to leave. A 6-foot, 250-pound male got in my face and aggressively said, "We have the right to be here, and you can't tell us to leave." The group then stayed for an hour of our practice, denigrating my team with vulgar, sexually harassing comments. It was such an upsetting experience that I broke down crying as soon as I got to my car. After notifying BCRP, I was told, "Sorry for the inconvenience." At the next practice, there were 4 BCRP employees, which seemed like a good sign, until they allowed an extremely intoxicated and loud man to remain at the field next to the children practicing, saying they had it under control, despite our suggestion to call the police. The idea to keep fields unlocked may have been with good intentions, but it has created an environment where there are no rules, and there are people with scooters and bikes on turf fields and trash everywhere. If BCRP cannot manage a simple policy of unlocking gates, please tell me, Johnny O, how can you, in good conscience, even allow them to propose an initiative that will effectively destroy all that the volunteer rec councils have worked so hard to build over the last 75 years?
So I'll just reiterate, I mean, we're not looking to undo anything that our volunteers do. They do incredible work. I've experienced it as a parent. I've done it as a volunteer myself. We want to supplement the great work. And what I will say is, I'm very sorry that you and your girls experienced that. Like, no one should have to experience that. The other piece of the conversation is, it is also made clear that we have significantly and historically underfunded our, not just our rec facilities, but our rec department. It's because they don't have the resources that they currently need and should have to be supportive of you and the great work that you and others are doing. So part of the conversation isn't just about policies, it's also a budget conversation. And we need to be responsible for providing the resources so that Bob and his team actually has enough individuals to help enforce the rules and regulations at our parks so that you don't have that experience. But I think it actually it is very helpful in terms of informing where we need to be going. So I apologize you went through that, but I appreciate you sharing your story.
Good evening, County Executive Olszewski. Nice to see you. Councilman Young, thank you. My name is Allison Burr-Livingston. I'm here tonight representing the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, and on behalf of all of our Baltimore City-based arts institutions that receive support from the county annually, thank you. I think a unique part of the county's budget priority is this recognition of regionalism and the fact that strong Baltimore-based arts institutions make our communities in Baltimore better places to live, better places to work, and have great economic, education, public health benefits. I'm here simply today to thank you for your support, also to remind you of the power of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. Through the grant that we received from the Commission on Arts and Sciences. We brought the orchestra to many county-based locations last year, and education programs, including Goucher College, Oregon Ridge, obviously, the Gordon Center, Carver Center for Arts and Technology, and just last week, District 1 with a visit to UMBC. Who knows, maybe in the future, this very auditorium. We also brought more than 10,000 county students to our world-class Meyerhoff Symphony Hall in Baltimore for age-appropriate educational concerts or immersive side-by-side experiences. In total, we estimate that we reach more than 60,000 county citizens each single year. We're very proud of that. It's more than a quarter of our audiences. We are committed to being more for more Marylanders because we believe the arts are not a nice-to-have. It's a must-to-have. With economic development, education, public health, and livability benefits and more, the list goes on. Investments in regional arts anchors are investments back into the county. We want to be a partner in the future strategy, and we believe that we can be a part of that, but we can't do it alone. So we sincerely hope that you will consider an investment back in pre-pandemic levels of support for the BSO. We are committed to directing investments back in the BSO back to in-county services and in-county partnerships, and are excited to be bringing that forward and be, again, part of the future, where we can also be directing more support from many more organizations and policy initiatives. Thank you.
Since we have so many folks with kids here, I just wanted to also take an opportunity to, one of the programs you all have is a child can come for free on certain nights. My wife and I have taken my older son, my younger son, I don't think could make it through the entire show, but appreciate that work. And for those that are interested, to check out the BSO if you're interested in introducing your child to the BSO and just classical music in general.
Yeah, and I would just say it's kids listen free every single classical and pops concert all year long with the purchase of an adult ticket. So please come out and experience us.
Thank you.
County Executive Olszewski and our Councilman Pat Young, thank you so much for having us tonight. I am the new Executive Director at Catonsville Emergency Assistance. We're known as CEA in the community, and we are the local food pantry. Did you know that 33% of 21228 is suffering from food insecurity? This is an astounding number that, as I've come into this role, has just replayed over and over in my mind. As a mother of 3 here in Baltimore County Public Schools, I think about my children sitting next to children who don't have enough to eat, and that breaks my heart. So I actually have a very personal mission here as the Executive Director, and I'm asking tonight for some funding to help us build out our facility and also help more people in the area code of 21228. We are currently only meeting about 10% of that 33% of those who are suffering from food insecurity, and if we were able to actually build out our facility and also have funding for our food supply, we would be able to serve more people here in our community. 25% of those that we are currently serving, which is over 700 people a year, actually are children, 18 and under. So I think our mission is very important here in the community. We can't function without food. No one can function without food. And I would like for you to consider funding our project. We currently have a building that we have just purchased next door to our current location, and we would ask for funding to build that out into a choice pantry and allow the dignity of our neighbors that we are serving. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just so I'm clear, so this is a capital project?
Yes, we actually have a capital, we have a legislative bond initiative into the state currently for our building project. We've also applied for the Baltimore County grant for our operating expenses, but we, obviously are in need of food given the, numbers of those who are in need of food. So help us out. Thanks.
Good evening and thank you. I'm Mike Eagle with the Baltimore County Veterans Commission, fellow veteran, and I want to thank County Executive Johnny O and the Councilman Pat Young, fellow veteran, for allowing us to exist. The mission of the Baltimore County Commission on Veterans Affairs is to advocate for Baltimore County veterans, their families, and connect them to resources through education and outreach. The county has done an outstanding job and allows us to do great partnerships by assisting the distribution of over 230 computers to veterans and people that need them to connect to the internet. And our county has also assisted us with a new program to provide suicide prevention and aid in homelessness in Baltimore County. We'd like to thank CCBC to allow us to distribute those computers. We want to thank you for your continual support to allow us to assist those veterans and outstanding continual support through the county to assist them with end homelessness in Baltimore County for all veterans. Thank you.
Good evening, Councilman Young, County Executive Johnny Olszewski. I'm Danielle Singley, and I'm the president of the Westview Park Improvement and Civic Association. I will not need all 1 minute and 30 seconds, but it looks like the clock hasn't even started anyway, so I'm gonna keep right on talking. I'm going to start off with asking that you include money for the West Baltimore County Redevelopment Authority, startup funds for that, because a lot of what I'm going to talk about has to do with revitalization efforts in the area. We need to have the Western Hills Community Park Clubhouse through Rex and Parks renovated. That parking lot is filled with potholes, hard to park there at any time, and that community clubhouse has a lot of potential for our area. We could also use a recreation activity center / PAL center at the Edmondson Heights Elementary School. Our children need a place to go, a safe place to hang out and, just kind of do something that keeps them less idle after school and especially on the weekends. I would also like to see some more money allocated for code enforcement officers and sanitation workers on the weekends. And doing so, I guarantee you will make your money back because they'll be able to ticket and all those citations and illegal signs up and down Route 40 and all around Security Boulevard and Rolling Road. You will make your money back, I promise you. And then lastly, we have a few streets in Westview Park along the Gilston Park side near the swimming pool that have not they still have potholes. They need to be, redone. We appreciate the fact that you did prioritize Westview Park for the other streets, but we have some more streets that need some attention. Thank you so much.
And just take an opportunity to thank Danielle for that. She mentioned the West Side Redevelopment Authority, which would not have been possible without her advocacy prior to, me getting here, but also influencing the legislators when I was still in Annapolis to authorize the council to create it. So thank you for your work on that.
Hi, my name is Lynn Cruft. I've been a Northern Baltimore County resident for 52 years and a 9-year volunteer at the Maryland Zoo. So thank you so much for your past support for the zoo. But I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about the zoo now. So our primary mission at the Maryland Zoo is to engage the public by encountering animals, to foster empathy and lifelong support for wildlife and wild places, many of which are in big trouble throughout the world. So many of you have been to the zoo, and you might know about our African black-footed penguins that are one of our signature species. We've determined a long time ago that they are going to be extinct in the wild probably by 2030. But our breeding programs, which funding from Baltimore County and some of our other donors, has been very successful in bringing back the species, at least from not disappearing in the wild or on the planet. We also have breeding programs for other species as well, species that are also very endangered. Even though Baltimore City is inside the zoo, Baltimore County residents are the ones that normally come to the zoo more frequently. So I would ask you to please continue your support. I begin to recognize as a volunteer the diversity of clients that come through our gates every single day. No matter whether they're race, culture, age, or gender, the differences become a community. So I would ask you please to continue your support for the Maryland Zoo. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rob Tracy. I am the Performing Arts Department Chair at Lansdowne High School. First, Johnny Olszewski and Pat Young, thank you for your investment in our community. It's every day I drive to work and I see a new wall go up on the building, and it's very, very powerful. So thank you for that. Thank you. I'm here actually tonight to advocate for the Hippodrome Foundation Incorporated. And the Hippodrome is really grateful for your continued investment in their operating grants, where we serve thousands of Baltimore County schools. I've personally been invested with the Hippodrome Foundation through Lansdowne for the last 11 years, and seen firsthand as a educator and a mentor working in partnership with them the impact from Cockeysville to Lansdowne, from Patapsco to Randallstown, and everywhere in between, and all of the elementary school, middle school, and high school students that have been impacted by their opportunities to interact with the professional performers. And this year, they even have expanded to offer workshops with our teachers. So things in technical theater, things in performance spaces, and we're really, really thankful for that, and we want it to continue. We need more funding for their operating budget and for the capital investment that you guys have made in the M&T Pavilion. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
County Executive Olszewski, Councilperson Pat Young. I'm Kathy Odell, Faculty Emerita at UMBC, and proud to be a resident of Baltimore County and Catonsville for 32 years. I chair the Maryland Public Art Commission, serve on the board of directors of the Baltimore County Arts Guild, and I'm on the advisory board for the Catonsville Arts District. In 2020, after years of county planning and investment, historic Catonsville was designated by the state of Maryland to be Baltimore County's first arts and entertainment district, aimed at attracting audiences, artists, arts organizations, and other creative enterprises to develop and promote community engagement, tourism, revitalization, all in keeping with Master Plan 2030. In this effort, the county partnered with the Baltimore County Arts Guild, which administers the programs of the Catonsville Arts District on behalf of your office and is charged with increasing the number of A&E districts in our county. Many counties have many more A&E districts than we do. The county has provided limited support for this important economic initiative, but it has sadly fallen behind on its commitment to fully fund the district such that it can thrive and prosper. I call on the county to remedy this shortcoming and to include Arts District funding as a line item in the county budget moving forward. We want to be on your cultural anchor slide next time. Thank you so much.
Good evening, County Executive Olszewski and Councilperson Pat Young. I am Arkia Wade, and I've been a resident of the Dundalk Turner Station community for over 10 years, and currently serve as the president of the board for the Baltimore County Arts Guild, which is the organization that manages the Catonsville Arts and Entertainment District. For the third consecutive year, Baltimore County government has not met its financial responsibilities and has not provided the taxpayer dollars allocated by state and federal partners to your constituents in the arts. This is an urgent matter that requires immediate attention. Grant award payments have been delayed by nearly a year, which jeopardizes the stability and health of county arts organizations as it would for any business operation. This is a multi-year systematic problem. As another indication of dysfunction, the county missed the deadline for the FY22 grant of $300,000 in Argos funding that was earmarked for county arts organizations by the Maryland State Art Council. We appreciate the efforts that your team has provided in the last few weeks, but we need these issues remediated immediately. Thank you.
Good evening, County Executive Olszewski, Councilman Young, and the citizens of the 1st District. I appreciate the outstanding support both of you have given the fire department throughout your tenure. My name is John Sabiga, and I am the president of the Baltimore County Professional Firefighters and Paramedics Local 1311. The Maryland Association of Counties commissioned a study on hiring, recruitment, and retention. Baltimore County was identified as the sole outlier for the longest retirement requirement in the state of Maryland. In addition, recently hired career members reported that the most important factor for the decision was pay and benefits by far outweighing commuting distance when deciding where to work as a firefighter or a paramedic. As you know, we are currently struggling with hiring, recruitment, and retention. We need your help. We need to collectively solve long-standing concerns and make the Baltimore County Fire Department the most attractive fire and EMS department in the state of Maryland to work for, where people want to start and end their careers. The fire department, with county approval, sanctioned an in-depth analysis of how the fire department operates. We respectfully request funding for those much-needed improvements, providing for increased firefighter and EMS safety while operating on emergency scenes. The professional firefighters of Baltimore County, the paramedics, appreciate the progress we have made collectively to solve the fire department issues and concerns, particularly recent fire engine staffing. Now is the time to collectively solve long-standing issues, ensuring that the Baltimore County Fire Department becomes a competitive option for hiring, recruitment, and retention statewide. Fund additional EMS and fire staffing and put into place the third-party analysis recommendations. I have 2 questions regarding fixing fire department issues. If not you, who? If not now, when? As always, you have my sincerest obligation to you, County Executive Olszewski and Councilman Young, to collaboratively work together and solve these issues. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and I do want to give you a shout out. Thanks so much for the kind words for those folks.
And I was going to say, John, I just want to thank you and your members, and before those who are standing, if I could just ask folks here to give all of our first responders
Thank you.
Good evening. The Lansdowne Riverview community is very diverse and economically challenged. We are the poorest section of Baltimore County with excessive drug use and significant number of vacant homes. The need for the Lansdowne Volunteer Fire Department is climbing. The citizens that can least afford the fire department are the ones that most need its services. Lansdowne Fire Department was formed in 1902. We are the 3rd oldest in Baltimore County. We are still in our original building, was last renovated in 1952. In 1996, answering the needs of the community, an ambulance was added to our fleet. The storage shed was the only place to house it. Emergency responders must go outside our main building up on the hill to access the ambulance. In inclement weather, meeting the 90-second response time that is standard for the career crews is a challenge. When our unit is out of service for repairs, the reserve units available do not fit in the shed. Requiring us to put a reserve in the engine bay requires us to put the engine out of service and store it in an unheated barn. Our station is located in an old community with narrow one-way streets. The fire department's responsibilities grow, so does fire apparatus, further hampering our ability to respond in a timely manner. In 1989, 3.5 acres was leased for our new station located on Hollands Ferry Road. It will be in the heart of the Riverview community. This area has been one of the busiest response areas in Baltimore County for as long as statistics have been kept. Last year, over 1,000 fire and EMS responses occurred in that area, and that number keeps climbing. For the last 35 years, we've been working with our community to fund the new station, but with a substantial number of residents receiving some type of public assistance, these residents are unable to help us. It is time for Baltimore County to do the right thing and provide the funding necessary to provide the community the same level of fire service that the rest of Baltimore County receives. I know this week the fire department is heroes. Please remember that when it comes time for budget, because every day we provide that service.
Hello, my name is Susan Bollinger, and I am the president of the Baltimore County Volunteer Firefighters Association. I represent the 29 volunteer fire, EMS, and rescue companies in Baltimore County. I would like to thank the county executive and Councilman Young for all your support. Our 2 main goals are better service to the citizens of Baltimore County and increased safety for our members while performing those services. In order to meet these goals, we need adequate training, resources, equipment, communications, to provide the highest quality of service to the citizens. This means that we need to have adequate funds to pay our necessary expenses such as fuel, utilities, maintenance, insurance, tools, medical supplies, etc. We also need capital dollars so that we can replace the minimum of 4 EMS units per year. We need capital money in our loan fund to buy other major apparatus such as engines, trucks, and squads. We are constantly working to find ways to be more sustainable, effective, and efficient. We look forward to working with you to make the future of the volunteer system the model for our nation that it once was, and to be able to serve our citizens in the manner they deserve. We work closely with our career counterparts to meet the needs of our citizens, and this community is one of the areas of greatest needs. Thank you for all your support, and we look forward to working with you to meet the challenges of the future for the betterment of all.
Hello, the Rotary Club of Catonsville has been working with Baltimore County Recreation and Parks on a park project to connect the Catonsville Community Park walking path with the surrounding community by paving the trails that connect the walking path to Glenmore Ave and Osborne Ave. The two trails are 164 feet and 101 feet and would be installed at the existing grade. The Rotary Club of Catonsville have received 2 grants towards this project from the Baltimore County Foundation and the Patapsco Heritage Greenway, to total $27,000 in funding that we're ready to donate to this project. The project has moved forward through Baltimore County Recreation and Parks as a community-generated project and is now within the property management, of which the expected turnaround time is 3 to 9 months. We ask that if possible, the project be reviewed and estimated by property management and added to the council agenda within the current fiscal year. Thank you.
Just want to make sure to give a shout out to the Rotary Club of Catonsville. You guys are doing amazing work and active for anybody that's looking for an example of a civic organization that puts words into action and has a real impact on the community. Look into the Catonsville Rotary Club. So just want to give you a plug while you had an opportunity. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Winnie Carpenter, and on behalf of the OELA HOA, we request continued monitoring of our failing road conditions near 1102 OELA Avenue, and at a minimum, resetting our guardrail, which is falling downhill due to safety concerns. On behalf of the OELA Catonsville Flood Solutions, we request creating a Patapsco River model in the 297 square mile drainage basin, which funnels directly into OELA, and also installing a high water gauge on Frederick Road at the Patapsco River Bridge, possibly through funding through the Army Corps Continuing Authorities Program, Section 205, starting with a feasibility study up to $100,000 in federal funds. I'd like to thank the following Baltimore County staff that we have worked with in the past year: John Bryan, Terry Curtis, Stephen Lafferty and his entire team, and the District 1 Highway Shop. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Ian Galliner. I'm the founder and artistic director of the Chesapeake Shakespeare Company, Maryland's premier professional classics theater company. I'm here with gratitude for the ongoing support of Baltimore County for the Chesapeake Shakespeare Company. We have a pending grant application with the County Commission on Arts and Sciences that will support programs of the Chesapeake Shakespeare Company that currently serves thousands of residents of Baltimore County and students. This grant will also provide free outdoor performances and education opportunities to 2 Baltimore County public spaces through Shakespeare Beyond and the Shakespeare Wagon, our mobile performing venue. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears and your support. Thank you very much.
Good evening. County Executive, welcome to Catonsville. Pat, I guess you live here, so welcome home. My name is Jim Hamel, and if you're really old like I am, you know me and the NGOs that I work on as the Catonsville Community Conservation Association. This is the NGO that landmarked the Bloomsbury building, school building, and also the old Catonsville Elementary School building. And if you will, these are both projects that would have been buildings that would have been flattened by Baltimore County. So when you think about, do you really want our recreation facilities to come under the county, the people that want to demolish these community resources? I don't know. The other NGO that I work with, if you're younger than I am, you'll recognize all of the street trees around Catonsville that have been added over the last 12 plus years, especially Edmondson Avenue. That's the Catonsville Tree Canopy Project. These are, now, one thing about both of these programs, they are both programs of the Catonsville Rec and Parks Council, and which makes them very doable and requiring no tax funds. So think about that as you think about, you know, if you will, our future and our recreation program futures. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mike Lang, and I represent the Lerman Woodland Theater. I believe money has been allocated for repairs and renovations to begin next fall. We certainly do appreciate that, and we're looking forward to it. However, at this point, there are a couple things, I'm not going to ask for much, but things that need to be done. The first issue we have there is there's an asphalt walkway that leads to the two smaller paths that go down to the main concert seating area. The asphalt is really in poor shape. It's been that way for quite a while, and it's quite a hazard to the people who come to the Lerman Theater for the concerts. We've had people fall. We had one person fall and had to be taken by ambulance to St. Agnes. So it really needs something that needs to be done there. The other issue, another small issue, I realize these items are small, but it needs to be addressed. We have 8 or so picnic tables that basically have been there for 12 years, and I've been repairing them year after year for quite a long time, and they really need to be replaced. So I think that's 2 relatively small items. Just to conclude, realistically, Lerman concerts are a positive activity for the community. We had approximately 15,000 attendees this past year. They're fairly family-friendly, and many, possibly most of the people there are from the general Catonsville community and surrounding areas. Whatever you can do to help us with those 2 small replacements, and whatever you can do for us there at the Lerman before the season starts in June, we would certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just say that the small stuff matters too. So it's, you know, it's just as important in terms of getting that right as the big stuff.
Good evening. My name is Mohamed Usai. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the Lutheran Social Services of the National Capital Area, also known as LSSNCA. LSSNCA is an immigration relief and refugee welcome agency that has served the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area for the past 100 years. Within the last 2 years, we have expanded in Baltimore County with the opening of the Arbutus office in October 2021. Since then, we have served 356 individuals from 27 countries. I wanted today to spend some time sharing with you the challenges identifying tenable housing for refugees. Our work with refugees begins when we receive a notification from the State Department that a family is arriving. We use that information to secure appropriate housing. Most often, we are looking for 3-bedroom homes or apartments, as the average family size in Arbutus is 5, and in neighborhoods close to public transportation, community resources, and schools. We have found Arbutus, Catonsville, Caucasville, Dundalk, Rosedale, and Woodlawn to be preferable location for placing refugees. Tenants sign their own leases, and we provide them with some assistance to provide until they reach self-sufficiency. If Baltimore County could serve as a co-signer for the first year of our family arrivals, that would help us expand our housing options. With a commitment of $1.5 million in renewable funds, Baltimore County could partner in placing 50 families a year. This is a low-risk investment because of the 284 refugees LSS has resettled in Baltimore County since October 2022. None have been evicted.
Good evening. I'm Hamid Girwal, and I would like to share about workforce development needs for refugees. LSSNCA accompanies refugees as they obtain first job in the United States. The presence of Baltimore County Mobile Career Center at our Arbutus office once a month would significantly fill a crucial gap in providing refugee access to additional job search assistance, career counseling, and training opportunities, empowering them to secure meaningful employment and achieve self-sufficiency. One of the challenges for refugees is underemployment. Many arrive with degrees and certifications, but the recertification process can take up to 3 years and cost an individual at least $3,500. With programs like our pilot recertification program, we can support professionals in the recertification process, yielding improved self-sufficiency outcomes. Our current programs allow us to serve 35 program participants per fiscal year. Those going through our recertification program are offered professional job with starting salary 25 to 30% higher than those who do not have certification. An investment of $500,000 would allow us to provide recertification services to 80 additional program participants in Baltimore County. Training and apprenticeship programs like the initiative between Baltimore County's Department of Economic and Workforce Development and the Community College of Baltimore County would help refugees with entering the workforce at a higher starting salary, leading to greater self-sufficiency outcomes. 40% of our refugees served by LSSNC Arbutus office are mothers who are primary caregiver for their children. Positions like school crossing guard would allow them to greater flexibility to enter the workforce. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christine Dunn, and I'm Director for Community Engagement at Lutheran Social Services. And I'd like to discuss our common goal of ensuring every child has access to quality education and to provide them with the foundation to excel. Schools also, as you know, provide an additional layer of stability and security during times of transition. One challenge faced by newly arrived families is the language barrier. We, like you and the County School Board, support and advocate for the inclusion and expansion of interpreters in schools to ensure languages like Spanish, but additionally Pashto, Dari, and other languages accessible to meet the community's needs. A new school is always stressful for a student, and when that school is also in a new country, the challenge becomes even greater. This year, our Arbutus office expects to welcome up to 250 school-aged children. With $550,000 in funding from the county, LSSNCA proposes hiring school liaisons who serve as a bridge between refugee families, the larger refugee community, and schools. They would be placed in schools with high refugee student populations to serve as navigators and help refugee students access equal services and resources and be successful. This funding would also provide transportation subsidy, school supplies, student homework club support, and other ways to acknowledge and support students' dedication. This partnership could also address the rising needs of students enrolled in English for speakers of other languages. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Khalis Nouri, and I'm the Resettlement Director at LSSNCA in Arbutus office. I would like to discuss an important initiative that could significantly impact the health and well-being of our community. As many of you are aware, enrolling children in school and ensuring they receive necessary vaccinations are essential steps for their integration into the community. We project that 60% of those served in our Arbutus office this year will be school-age children. The location is ready to provide an optimal space for health initiatives, partnering with your mobile health unit for bi-weekly clinics would further expand our reach and remove access barriers. Together, we can make a meaningful impact on the health and well-being of our community, ensuring that every individual has access to the care they deserve. Thank you again for your time this evening. At LSSNC, our mission is to accompany those in need to foster resiliency, self-sufficiency, and access to opportunities by creating, connecting with, and engaging welcoming communities like Baltimore County. By supporting our mission, you're not just investing in individuals, you're investing in the future of our community. Together, let's ensure that all our neighbors not only survive, but thrive. Thank you for considering our request and for your commitment to our shared vision. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Louisa Depkin. I'm 17 years old and a junior at Lock Raven High School. I have been involved with LTRC sports since second grade, and it's where my passion for volleyball started. Since LTRC volleyball, I have gone on to play for my high school, club, and am currently being recruited to play in college. And I owe this all to LTRC's volleyball program. Since August last year, I've been a junior coach at LTRC volleyball and have now taught over 100 elementary school and middle school kids the great game of volleyball. I am here tonight on behalf of the rec councils all across Baltimore County, and I invite everyone who is here for the same cause to stand with me. And I want us all to just take a look at how many people are standing right here. This is an important cause. We ask that you do everything in your power to keep the rec councils growing the way they have been for the past 75 years. We are a success story. They are a success story. Are there problems? Sure. There are problems with every system. So let's fix a few problems, but do not risk everything by changing things too soon, too broadly, too fast, and without the input of the people most directly involved. In a world where Netflix, AI, and TikTok compete with our time and desire to go outside, to exercise, to engage with other human beings, in a world where things sometimes seem like they are falling apart, why not do everything you can possibly do to keep this 75-year success story going? Antiquated or not, it has been working, and it is in large part because of good people doing good work. Why are we reimagining something that is already such a solid reality? Thank you.
I'll defer my time. Thank you, Louisa.
I just want to let everyone know we have come to 8 p.m., so just giving a reminder, we will need to close today's town hall by 8:30, so please keep your comments to the 90 seconds. For those who are unable or going to be unable to testify this evening, you can please submit your town hall priority to town hall, the email address on the screen. Thank you.
Hello, County Executive and Councilman Pat Young. My name is Dottie Hamilton, and I am a 12-year plus volunteer and supporter of court-appointed special advocates of Baltimore County, otherwise known as CASA of Baltimore County. I'm also live right on Emerson Avenue, and I love the new bike paths and the trees. There are other organizations called CASA, but we are the organization serving children in foster care. I want to thank the County Executive and Councilman Young for their support of CASA on an ongoing basis. But tonight, I'm here to talk about the services urgently needed for older youth aging out of the foster system. As they age out, their request for this position would be a youth engagement specialist. I have had 7 foster children in the 12 years that I've worked with CASA, and 3 of them aged out. And we work with DSS, but they have classes to prepare them for living outside of the foster system, but they're not required, and they're not often scheduled. If we could get the youth engagement specialist, this person would work with just foster children 14 and older and give them the support they need for budgeting, for even how to keep a house and so forth. And hopefully we could fill that gap for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Mario Mendez. I live in Reston. My zip code is 21136. My English is not very good. Everybody say my English is good, but no is good for me. I talk in Spanish, my friend traduction. Tengo 30 niños
I
a
have
mi
30
cargo.
children under my care.
Hace 3 años que enseño fútbol.
Over 3 years that I've been teaching soccer.
I'm from Argentina.
I am from Argentina.
Pero vengo hoy aquí a pedir si me pueden ayudar a conseguir una cancha de fútbol.
But I am here to ask for assistance in obtaining a soccer field.
My English no is very good.
My English isn't very well.
No es el mejor.
It's not the best.
He podido obtener una cancha de fútbol.
I haven't been able to get a soccer field.
No me abren las puertas.
The doors aren't open.
Muchas gente me han prometido, me piden, everybody say, Mario, I want your phone number, never more call me back.
Many people have promised and have gotten my phone number.
Only ba.
Many talks.
No me ayudan.
No help.
Estos niños,
These kids,
yo lo ayudo,
I help them.
todo lo hago gratis,
I do it all free.
para que salgan de la droga,
To
de
get
los
out of drugs,
teléfonos,
out of phones, social
de
media,
de los jueguitos.
out of games.
Todos los padres están contentos conmigo.
All of the parents are happy with me.
Yo respeto a los niños me respetan a mí.
I respect them, they respect me,
Y yo le enseño
and I help them learn
que lo mejor que hay en la vida es el deporte.
that the best thing is sports.
Espero que me puedan ayudar y permitirme tener una cancha para los niños. No es para mí, es para la comunidad latina.
I hope that you can help me. It's not for me, it's for them, for the Latino community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today. My name is Kyle Leahy with Catonsville Soccer. And at 36 years old, I've spent most of my life as either a participant or volunteer in programs provided by our rec council in Catonsville. What I've found from this initiative is there is a lot of focus on the county about collecting money to use our facilities that are already paid through taxpayers in the county. However, what has been lost with this initiative is the focus on the needs and wants of participants. These proposed fees does not provide equitable access to participants. What you are doing is creating more social, economical divides between people and communities. The unintended consequences of these fees divide players into the haves and the have-nots. The haves will write the check to play, while the have-nots will be left outside looking in, restricted access to develop. This will continue to keep up barriers for the have-nots. For decades, travel programs have provided access to players looking for more but don't have the financial means to pursue. These travel programs help remove barriers for underprivileged youth while you guys are trying to put more up. The rec and travel programs that operate under Rec and Parks Councils should be considered as one. At Catonsville Soccer, there's a home for everyone that wants to play, regardless of ability, race, religion, and gender. And there's an affordable opportunity to all who wish to pursue more. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christy Grace, and I am a coach for Catonsville Field Hockey, which is a rec program. Thank you. However, my children have participated in both the rec and travel programs that Catonsville offers, including travel basketball, travel baseball. They do the track and field, and we've also played various rec sports. I want to say that I don't think that you understand the difference between travel and the rec programs, or the distinctions that you've made wouldn't be taking effect. In my son's class, there are 8 children who play Ville Lacrosse, which is a travel program. The kids that play these travel sports are all Catonsville kids, and they are kids that have this opportunity because they are not being asked to pay thousands of dollars and travel outside of their community to be on a sports team. So I don't think that the distinction between travel and rec is relevant, and I think that if that distinction is made, that part of what makes Catonsville sports so special is going to be lost, because this is really a community program for both travel and rec, and you can see that bond where classmates are teammates and teachers are coaches, and I don't want that to be lost. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And just to be clear, neither do I. I mean, I played local rec, I played travel. My daughter is in local rec. I understand the differences. Our commitment is to sustaining those opportunities. I do not think that there will be lack of field space for anything associated with any of our rec councils. I do not expect any, we talked about this at the top, there will be absolutely no fee for rec programming. To the extent there might be something for travel or more selective programming, it will be minimal. Where? Okay. We are working collaboratively. Okay.
Relax.
We're here to have respectful dialogue, to listen to each other. That's what this is about. I hope we can continue that. So there have been no fees set. Director Smith, who is here, is happy to talk with folks afterwards as well. What I can tell you is, in addition to my own experience, Bob started his entire life coming through the rec program, so he understands the differences between these programs. We are not looking, contrary to what some people have said, to offset or end any of the incredible work that many of you are doing. So I want to be clear. I think the young lady's story here actually is what we want to make sure we continue. And so what I'm saying is, as we look what's happening elsewhere, we want to make sure that we're not only supporting the great programs that are happening, but also build upon that. And so I think we only get to that point by continuing the dialogue, hearing about priorities, understanding what's happening within individual travel. Because I will tell you, the travel experience at Catonsville is not going to be the same experience of what a travel program is somewhere else. So I get that there are differences, but actually within the same categorization, we see different things across the county. And so we want to make sure we understand how that's unique to each council, and then have a path forward, which is why actually we said, and I've directed to step back and say before a lot of these things are implemented, we have to have additional conversation. So I appreciate that folks feel very strongly about this. As someone who came through it, I understand that, but I want you to know, like, my commitment is to continue the conversations to get to a best path forward together. So thank you for that. I appreciate the indulgence, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Eric Schlenker. I'm the head of the Boys Ed Girls Lacrosse program here in Catonsville. And to put this all in perspective, I started at that program at 5 years old in 1970. You can do the math. This obviously is a train wreck right now. Number one, the way that it was rolled out to the public. And there's a lot of misinformation. There's not a lot of good information. This is what I'm offering to you as a collective whole of all these programs, is you set up a task force with us and you, and not over the course of 2 or 3 weekends, but maybe 6 months, 8 months, a year, to come to a good plan, because it's ultimately about the children. It's nothing to do with us. So please entertain that for us.
Well said, my friend, well said. Sorry, how's everybody doing? My name's Paul. I'm a board member of the Sierra Club, and I'm a resident of one of many historic districts identified for increased development through the master plan. As a father of 3 who faces housing crisis and climate changes, I support the master plan's goals to address these challenges. Without investments to realize these goals in a way that protects existing communities, we face several possible outcomes. Little to nothing is done to address our growth challenges. Investors start buying up historical homes, petition for zoning changes, and tear them down to build apartments. Nobody wants that. I'm here to advocate for a third option, an investment to create historically sensitive, pre-approved building designs that save time and money and help homeowners navigate a complicated development process in order to convert things like detached garages into an accessory apartments currently allowed for occupancy by family members. Many municipalities have developed such tools for sensible and gentle, historically sensitive development that lessen fears about smart growth and how it affects them, moves the needle on housing. My street alone could yield 40 housing units. A process like this supports local small builders instead of subsidizing large out-of-state developers, and it reduces carbon emissions by promoting walkable communities. It also enhances our tax base to help fund all of the requests that we're hearing tonight. Lastly, I'd like to thank the Department of Planning for all their hard work that they've done in engaging the community to develop the master plan. I'm asking now the county to finish the job to develop tools to help its implementation in a fair, equitable manner. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robin Brown. I am the mother of a travel baseball, travel basketball, and rec soccer player, and the wife of a travel baseball, travel basketball head coach, and basketball commissioner. Our travel program is not like your daughter's travel program. It's not like Mr. Smith's travel program. I know you said that. When you bring a proposal into a community and you haven't asked the community what they want, it's going to fail. I was the first one to say they've got to have a good idea for this. They've got to have a purpose. There's a community that needs our help. I don't know who they are. And you didn't say, hey, we're going to need to share your fields. We're going to need to share your courts. We think that you can step up and help the other communities. We'd be more than happy to do that. But the way you've got it written is going to destroy their travel program. These aren't kids that are trying to get into college and play baseball. These aren't kids that can pay $3,000 and hire a paid head coach. These are kids that have reasonable travel fees, and these are kids that just want to compete at a little bit more competitive level. So involve the community, ask us what we want, and we can come up with an answer. But the way you have it written, it's going to fail.
Yeah, and I'll be the first one, and thank you for that. I'll be the first one to say the way that this got pushed out, not acceptable. And you do have my commitment that there will be regular, ongoing, sustained conversations, including specific forums and town halls with the department around this issue specifically. I know this is sort of a budget town hall that's covered a multitude of issues, but there will be regular communication, including gatherings as we sort of talk about all of the respective issues. You've got that pledge from me tonight as well. So.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer. I'm a 20-year resident of Catonsville. My kids are both aged out of our programs here, but I'm still running the softball program, which I've been running since 2016. And I just want to note that none of us are asking for money in the Rec and Parks program. In fact, I know personally I spend about 500 hours a year volunteering for my program. So think of all that money you're saving there. I just want to talk about, I have a small, we mostly rec, low-key softball program, but last spring I got back into coaching for the first time since my daughter stopped playing softball. I had a group of girls, 8th graders, who wanted to play in their high school the following spring, and they had never played any kind of travel ball. And even though my daughter played, I had never coached, and I was not very confident, but I went through it. And we spent the spring and fall learning together. If you're familiar with the travel sports, you can guess that we just did not walk out onto the field and start winning. But though we had a rough start, those girls showed up every week. They practiced together. I'm going to start crying. They supported each other. They laughed a lot. We learned a lot. And by the fall, we were winning some games. But to me, that really didn't matter. What I saw was a group of young women who were learning teamwork, tenacity, resilience. That's what travel sports do. They teach kids to persist even if they are initially outnumbered. And by the way, sometimes us adults learn that too. Even though I consider our crush program to be just an extension of our rec program, it could be greatly affected by these new permit rules and fees being proposed. Please consider asking leaders and participants of the program what challenges they face and what help they need so their programs can thrive. And please don't penalize travel sports before you understand what they're worth.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Donna Wasserbach, and my husband Paul and I are members of the Overbrook Road Catonsville Neighborhood Association. For over 36 years, we never had sewage backups, even during recent catastrophic rains of 2016 and 18. But all of that changed after the Academy Heights Relief Sewer was installed in 2019. It diverted increased sewage flow into a new 15-inch line down Overbrook Road. This larger line was then connected to an existing 8-inch line right in front of our home. Within a year of the project's completion, on August 12, 2020, our basement was destroyed with hundreds of gallons of raw sewage. And on January 9th of this year, it happened again, and we bailed out over 175 gallons of raw sewage. To date, we have incurred nearly $50,000 in damages. Several of our neighbors have also incurred backups. It's terrible for all of us to live with fear when it rains. The DPW's recent solution has been to install a sewer plug to reduce flow through the 15-inch line and divert it to a sewer overflow structure. This solution is neither permanent nor viable and continues to put the health and welfare of us, our neighbors, and our environment at risk. Please help us and our neighbors and support the solution to this and continue the 15-inch line down Overbrook Road and connect it to the existing 15-inch line at the city line. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I'm sorry for your experience. If someone from DPWT, Deputy Director Russell, if you could just make sure that you maybe stand up and wave so that if you want to connect afterwards, make sure that you have a direct leadership contact if you don't already have that. Thanks. Are there any others? It's almost like you all time it perfectly.
My name's Scott. I've been a longtime coach in youth sports in Baltimore County. I just have a question for the councilman. Before you is a vote to give $131,000 more to the consultant company that that created all of this mess without any community input. You're being asked to vote on that on April 15th. Are you voting yes to give them another $131,000?
At the moment, working with the department and knowing that it's in front of us now, because it wasn't on the agenda that I saw recently, but knowing you're bringing it to my attention now, I'm going to have to make sure I talk with the department too and see what the plan is.
It was sent to the council on March 21st by Izzy Patoka. So I
just didn't see it on the agenda for the April 15th vote, but knowing now that you bring it in front of me, make sure I work with the department too before making a final decision on voting for it. So thank you for bringing it up to me. And for the folks that talked to me earlier before we started about the extra funding that was going to the agency, the firm that was used. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention as well. At the moment, wouldn't vote for it unless having a conversation with the department to make sure that what's being said tonight is going to be implemented with input from the community. So at the moment, if it was tonight, it would be a no, but want to make sure I'm engaging with the members that are going to be utilizing those funds and making sure that what we've said to you all is committed to in a plan moving forward, so it's not just something we say, it's something we plan out for you.
I think we've captured everyone here in our middle section. Wonderful. At this time, we will turn it back over to the county executive and to County Councilman Pat Young for any remarks.
Sure. One, because we're about to close out, how many students are left that stayed the whole time? Would you stand up real quick? Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. Thank you for sticking it out. This is important, and it also makes sure that our commitment is kept, because your parents care about you and we care about your experience too, and making sure that we don't let you down. I don't want to speak for you, Johnny, but that's also, it's important that you're here. And if everyone's okay with it, if the parents are happy to take your address and name, I'd love to send you something from my office just for thanking you for sticking it out for the entire night and advocating for what's important to you and to your community. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, and thank you all. Again, I know that we tackle a lot of big things and small things in this work. I fervently believe that the more we engage with you, the better the results are. And so whether it is a walking path in one of our beloved theaters or our recreation programs, that's why we started this town hall series. This is now just of budget town halls. This is our 41st budget town hall. And so I just want you to know that, like, even when it's stuff that I might not want to hear or is hard to hear, I'm going to keep showing up and keep listening with you and keep working with you to try to get it as right as we possibly can. That's what this administration has been and will always be about. And so I just want to thank you and commend you all for showing up and for being part of it. I want to thank members of my staff and my team. They give many of their nights from families as well to be not just at this town hall, but all of the town halls. But we really believe it's important that we're here and that we're working with you. If there are additional questions or concerns, team members will be available. If you didn't have a chance to grab me, I know we have to be out of here in the next 5 minutes, but I'm happy to spare 5 minutes before CCBC sweeps us out. But we have done a lot of good together these past 41 town halls. I'm looking forward to continuing the good with all of you. Thank you again for coming out tonight. Everyone be safe and take care.